Please rise with me. Today, this county government pauses to reflect on the passing of a dear friend, Elaine Brill, a treasured employee of our Commission on Aging and senior nutrition coordinator, has passed away. For years, Elaine worked to feed the hungry and attend to the lonely. Will you join me in a moment of remembrance for Elaine? Thank you. Let's recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Geiger.
Here.
Getty.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smoker.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the public or of the board may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does the board wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written. Reports from state and county officers. Does any state or county officer have a report to share with the board?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm passing out a letter from our office to the Commissioners, Michael Brown and Sue Van de Kar. We are pleased to report that the Berry County Drain Commissioner has procured the funds for the Watson Drain District project. This has provided us the resource to reimburse the county the $500,000 that was appropriated early in the project from the County Resolution 1811 to assist with the Watson Drain District emergency relief. On behalf of the citizens in the district and our office, we wish to thank you for your assistance and teamwork. I thought you guys might like to know that you get some kudos once in a while. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Are there further reports to share with the board? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning. Gary White, Nashville. Best way to say, I guess, this commission has been on spending the ARPA funds as quickly as possible. $5,925,000 on the agenda today. I think that's every penny possible. 65% to 70% are on 3 projects. One is a county project, and the other 2 are not. County Administrator Michael Brown, in a letter in the budget, explained timelines to have funds committed by 12/31/2024 and then spent before 12/31/2026. As commissioners, you have the authority to spend the funds. The question you need to ask yourself is, do you have the qualifications to approve those funds? Drinking Water Revolving Fund has requirements to receive low interest loans and or grants and departments to verify them. Maybe they are qualified for all those things, maybe they're not. It's something that you should consider before approving the 2 water projects. Do entities have the plans and funds in place to maintain and upgrade these systems for the future? It appears there should be some verifications by the county before taxpayers' funds are gifted away at this point in time. Your select committee chair told the public at the Hastings High School that entities had all been contacted, and also that no one on the committee had skin in the game. Both have been proven false. The $100,000 Activate Berry County should probably be pulled and then maybe redone at the second round. Those not contacted, seeing as how should they get extra points in the second round, Prairieville Township, I do believe, came in here and said they think they should have special preference because they were in the first round. So there's things out there that didn't go real well, and for the credibility of the select committee and the commissioners, that should probably be pulled. You've been in a hurry to spend these funds. I guess the three top projects take up about 65 to 70%, and only one is a county project. You have two county projects down here that are up for reconsideration, I guess. So I wouldn't be too hasty. I'd like to see you take a little bit more time. I thought at the last meeting it was going to be another 3-4 weeks to look into things, but now that you have on your consent agenda all these ARPA funds and down there, the intent appears to be spend it like your gaming commissioners. Thank you.
Further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence to share with the board? Yes.
Thank you. I had asked Jim Dole to give me some figures on the Watson drain. If we had approved that, what the savings would have been, because there was a comment made about it would be minimal impact. And for the Watson drain, if we had taken the request off the top, even as Mr. Nettleman had said it should have been done, the county's bill was right now the county's bill for that drain is $733,520. Oh. And if we took the 2 mil off, it would have been $513,782.50. So that's quite a bit of savings. Berry Township, their bill is $869,773. If we had taken, and if we had approved those, their bill would have been $609,152.50, would have been a savings of $260,548.23. Prairieville, their bill is $799,049.27. If we had approved that, it would have been $559,597.50, a savings of $239,451.77. Regarding the base assessments for Upper Crooked Lake is $85,000. With the lower, if it had been approved, their base assessment would have been $5,950. And Pleasant Lake, theirs is $6,500, and if approved, it would have been $4,550. Not to mention the fact that those were for the assessment, but because now Berry and Prairieville and the county will have these additional fees, it will take away from their general funds, which serves their whole entity, the whole of the township and the whole of the county. So it is a bigger impact, I think, than what some people thought. So I just wanted to report that Jim had returned those figures to me.
Thank you, Vice Chair Connor. I do have some correspondence to share. I've received a letter from Chief Roger Karras of the Hastings Fire Department in response to a complaint of the doors of this chamber being unsafe. Clearly, there was a concern about the operational effectiveness in a fire, and we will comply with the Chief's recommendations. If you'd like to see a copy of that letter, I have it here. Are there additional items of correspondence to share with the board? Hearing none. Consent items. Commissioner Smelker.
I move for the approval of the following consent items. Approval of January 11th, 2022 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes. Approval of January 18th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Approval to reappoint Doug Klein to fill a citizen-at-large position on the Parks and Rec Association Board for a 3-year term that began on January 1, 2022 and ends on December 31, 2024. Approval of the attached 2022 contracts with Indigent Defense Council Services with Jackie Baker, Carol Dwyer, Shane Henry, Kristen Howell, James Kinney, Gordon Shane McNeil, Catherine Russell, and Kimberly Young. Approval of the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Grant contract and authorize the chairperson to sign the contract. Approval to allocate up to $1,332,000 in ARPA funds for a water tower in Berry Township, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant. Approval to allocate up to $839,000 in ARPA funds for water tower and supply upgrades in the village of Freeport, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant. Approval to allocate up to $2,400,000 in ARPA funds for a 800 megahertz tower, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant. Approval to allocate up to $100,000 in ARPA funds for the active Berry County Community Food Center project in the city of Hastings, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant. Approval to allocate up to $14,000 in ARPA funds for a sewer and broadband study in the Algonquin Lake area, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, point of privilege.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Connor. For what reason do you rise? You don't have to stand up. It's just a
Okay.
term bar.
Sorry. I would. So if I was asked a question by a member of the audience, and based on information that I had received, I gave him incorrect information of amending the agenda. So for that individual, I would ask that you remove items E, F, G, H, I, and J, and move them to items for consideration.
Just to be clear with the request, you are requesting this board pause its consideration of the consent agenda and put the coronavirus or the ARPA items under items for consideration.
That is correct.
This-
Because the information I had was incorrect, and I gave him incorrect information.
To proceed with such action, we will need to suspend the rules. Does the board wish to proceed with this? If so, is there any objection to suspending the rules? Hearing no such request, the rules are suspended. Hold on. Now we may consider moving the items off the consent agenda and into items for consideration. So the chair would, on behalf of the vice chair, entertain a motion to move the ARPA funding items into items for consideration. Does some member of the board wish to make this motion?
I would make that motion.
The motion has been made by Vice Chair Connor. Is there a second?
If I second it, we get discussion? I second it.
The motion has been supported. Discussion. The rules allow the author of the motion to speak first. Vice Chair Connor, do you wish to make comments on this?
Are we going to cover them right now? Or
As-
when we get to
as
items
the-
of consideration?
As I stated several times, these items would be moved into items for consideration. That is the act of your motion.
The only comment that I have at this time is that I'm doing this because I was asked how a person in the audience could get the agenda amended. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me with that. And the information I was given was incorrect, and I'm just trying to make that right. It was not.
I would disagree with the comments about providing incorrect information. My comments about the ability of a citizen to amend the agenda are consistent with what I've done every single meeting I've been chair. when we get to items for consideration, the chair offers the public the opportunity to remove items from the consent agenda and place it under items for consideration. The public many times has taken advantage of this opportunity. So I don't know what other notices we need to share with the public to share this information. Those are my comments. Commissioner Smelker, you wish to speak on this?
Yeah, I just wondered, how come you didn't change it when we went to approve the agenda? After I read that whole thing, then you bring it up.
That is a valid question. Vice Chair Connor, would you wish to respond?
Yes, I do. Before the meeting, I had asked Chairman Geiger if a citizen could remove an item from the consent agenda at that time, and he said it's a two-part process. And he said, they can do it when I get to items for consideration. And that is what I told the member of the audience.
I will respond to that because it is a point of pride that we have in this board that we're consistent and we're efficient. And again, every meeting that I have chaired, we're very clear about how one can amend the items or amend the consent agenda. I know I would not have incorrectly stated the rules that I basically helped invent.
I understand that, but I specifically wanted to make sure that that was correct. And then when you said they can do it when I get to items for consideration.
I would disagree with that. But let's not belabor this point.
Well, I tried to take the blame on myself for misunderstanding you, but that is what I heard you say.
Okay, well, obviously some miscommunication, but the result of it is we have a request from somewhere that has been passed along to Vice Chair Connor to vote on the ARPA items individually. We have almost came to approval of the consent agenda, but we have paused to suspend the rules to move the items into items for consideration. Is there further discussion on moving these items? Hearing none, the question now before the board is to place the following items within the consent agenda under items for consideration. Consent items F, G, H, I, and J. Is there further discussion? Please, Chair recognizes Vice Chair Connor. This is your request. Again, we need to be clear on what you're requesting. Does your motion wish to approve item E? Because it is not related to the American Recovery Project Act. It is related to a different federal funding.
You are correct. You are correct. I'm sorry. So no, not E. F, G, H, I, and J.
That is
Amend my motion.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is to remove the following items under consent items into items for consideration. Consent items F, G, H, I, and J. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Nay.
Gibson.
Nay.
Jackson.
Nay.
Smelker.
Nay.
Geiger.
Nay. The request is not approved. Without objection, the rules will now be enforced. Hearing no objection, the rules are in force. Without objection, we will consider the items for consideration under the consent agenda read by Commissioner Smelker. Hearing no objection, we will consider them read. The motion now before the board is motion by Commissioner Smelker, supported by Gibson, to approve the items under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. Clerk, call the roll.
Connor,
Nay.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations, we have none. Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
I move for approval of claims in the amount of $54,028.67.
Second.
Motion by Jackson, supported by Gibson, for the approval of claims in the amount of $54,028.67. Discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
I move for item B, approval to allocate up to $1 million in ARPA funds for enhancements of the Paul B. Henry Thornapple Trail, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant.
Second.
Motion by Jackson, supported by Getty, for the approval to allocate up to $1 million in ARPA funds for enhancements of the Paul B. Henry Thornapple Trail, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor,
Nay.
Getty,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
I move for approval of item C, approval to allocate up to $240,000 in ARPA funds to the Berry County Road Commission for lost revenue replacement, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant.
Second.
Motion by Jackson, supported by Smelker, for the approval to allocate up to $240,000 in ARPA funds to the Berry County Road Commission for lost revenue replacement, subject to appropriate contractual approval with the applicant. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Jackson,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved. Unfinished business. We have an applicant for the Commission on Aging Board. William Matson, are you here with us? Did the administration receive any correspondence or messages from him?
Not that I'm aware of.
Let's see if he's outside the door. The guy wanted to serve on 3 boards. Chair recognizes Commissioner Smelker.
We've interviewed him, what, twice before?
Couple
For
of
boards?
times. He wanted to come in.
Geez, hoping nothing happened to him.
Being we have no individual to interview, is there any objection to proceeding to appointments? Or does the board wish to wait?
I think we ought to appoint the 4 people that we interviewed. We have 4 openings, and the one we didn't interview, I guess he's not considered. He didn't show up, he didn't make notification.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just as a point of clarification, can the administration tell us how many individuals we have available for appointment and how many vacancies we have?
There are 5 applicants and 4 positions.
So there are 5 applicants and 4 positions. So the board will need to deliberate. Because this issue is in flux, Chair Chair would entertain a motion to take a 5-minute recess as we look to reach out to Mr. Mattson before considering this. Is there any objection?
No moved.
There, hearing no objection, the board will recess for 5 minutes. At this time, we will continue. I didn't see Dave was gone. He'll be back.
Okay.
At this time, the board will continue considering its unfinished business. At this time, we have a dedicated individual who wants to serve on another board here to
Yes, sir.
apply for the COA board. Mr. Mattson, please introduce yourself and share why you chose to apply for this
Absolutely.
position.
My name is Bill Mattson, William Mattson. I'm currently the program director of the local child abuse prevention chapter here, the local council here in Barry County. I'm also the executive director of a small counseling practice up in Saranac and Lowell called 4Health Family Resource Center. I've worked in social services my whole life since the mid-1980s. Worked with people with disabilities, worked with people that were aging. My most recent, before I moved to the Barry County in Lansing, I ran the PACE program in Lansing. The PACE program is the program of all-inclusive services for the elderly. And that's a program that keeps people in their home as they age and ultimately die at home. Typically, the people we worked with were 2 to 3 years within their death. So we worked with people anywhere from, I think the shortest was 6 months up to probably 3 years, keeping them in their home, keeping them where they wanted to be. I've always been invested in the communities that I live in, whether it's Lake Orion, Monroe, or here in Barry County. Some of the things that bring me to helping, especially with the elderly. My mother was diagnosed with dementia and it ended up dying. So there's kind of that tie there to making sure that people get what they need. So that's real brief, Ben.
All right. Thank you. As the appointed member of the Commission on Aging Board, I'll ask the first question. You have already been appointed to 2 boards. In seeking additional service, do you have the bandwidth or the time available to take on an additional role?
As Commissioner Jackson could tell you that the Animal Shelter Board is every other month and it's not a heavy workload. The Community Mental Health Board at this point is only a meeting once early in the day, and I do a lot of things. As you can see, I have 2 almost full-time jobs, serve on 2 boards. So yes, I do have the bandwidth to participate actively.
Thank you. Questions or comments from commissioners? We will start with Commissioner Smelker.
Well, Ben, you took my question, but you are saying...
Well, we can ask again. Are you really sure?
I'm really sure. I did look at the date and times typically of the meetings of COA, and they fit within my schedule.
Thank you. That's very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Commissioner Getty.
I appreciate your willingness to serve the county in so many
I
different ways.
would appreciate if your mic was on.
Oh, that'd be great, and my mask.
And
So,
Commissioner Jackson, I think yours off too.
I appreciate you being willing to serve the county in so many different capacities, but I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
I guess I'm going to copy you on that, and Catherine, it's really unusual to have a county member that's so willing to step up and help with so many things. And of course, the question is, do you have the time? And it sounds like you do, so appreciate you coming here and applying.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Jackson.
No questions, just a comment. Bill's been on the Animal Shelter Advisory Board with us. He has never missed a meeting, always very prompt, communicates, responds to the email. So I've been impressed with Bill's willingness to dive right in and learn new things and help out on that board, so.
Thank you. Vice Chair Connor.
Thank you for your application and your dedication to your community. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have no further questions. So thank you for your service, and we'll make a decision soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you don't push the door closed.
I don't
it
get
will-
asked any.
Yeah. I did skip you.
Yeah.
Who, do you have any questions?
At least you skipped
Here,
seniority.
You get a couple of swipes at me. So what are the board's wishes? We have quite a few applicants with a desire to serve. We have some people that have served a long time on this board, but are still valued members of it. So,
I do have a question.
all right, Commissioner, Vice Chair Connor.
Thank you. Both these people are excellent. I just wondered if there's any precedent on a husband and wife both serving on the same board. Don and Lois Bowers have both applied, and I don't know if there's any rule that would prohibit this.
I know one answer to your question. There's no rule
Okay.
prohibiting a husband and wife from serving on the same board.
Okay.
These appointments are not like hiring somebody for a position. These are political appointments, and they serve at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners. Their only qualifications being that they are residents of the county, and the duties that they are appointed to carry out are indeed carried out. So the board has broad flexibility to appoint who it sees fit. As for precedent, I will ask Michael and Hoot, do you guys know of any time we've had a husband and wife on the same board?
I don't know of any.
Michael?
I don't remember a time either.
We don't remember a time. So,
Thank you. I didn't know.
yeah, good question. Let's see. This is a tough decision because somebody's going to get left out. I would offer that I think clearly the strongest advocate and the most passionate is Sally Schuster-Schoff. She called me the day before and she said, I'm in Florida. If I don't, no, she called me 2 days before and she said, I'm in Florida. So we're working on our travel plans and I might not be there for the committee of the whole meeting. And I said, we will have time for interviews at the next Board of Commissioners meeting. She called me the next day and she said she thought about it, but she loves serving on the COA board so much that she was making the trek up to Michigan to come home to to speak at our meeting. I thought that spoke a lot about who she is. Vice Chair Connor, you served on the COA board.
She is amazing.
She is.
She volunteers, she serves on the board. I mean, she's very active. She takes the classes. She's amazing. And she's good. I mean, she's a good board member. She's deliberates well. She's just very, very, very good individual.
Other board thoughts?
I liked Carrie McCormick as well for two reasons. One, it brings a little youth to the board, different eyes, different ideas.
Hey, youth isn't necessarily a barometer of good eyesight. I miss this guy. I've been the youngest guy on this board for 12 years.
The other thing
Sorry,
is,
Hoot.
the other thing is Carrie's also from the Prairieville area, and many of our board members currently are very Hastings-centric, and I think it would be nice to put someone on the board who is on the outreaches, you know, in a different part of the county, so we can get some input on service to the outlying areas of our county as well.
Commissioner Campbell, what do you think?
I do agree with Dave on what he said about Kerry. Also, I think that our incumbents, because they're kind of been there, done that, are nice to keep aboard. And the other three, it's a tough one.
Commissioner Getty?
I was impressed with Carrie as well. And I thought Betsy, I was impressed with a couple of her answers about how to include folks that aren't already involved in COA programs. So I was real impressed with her. Obviously, Bill Mattson brings a lot to boards that he participates in, but I think there's value in getting a diversity involved in county government and just involved in the community as a whole.
Mr. Smelker, do you have anything additional to add?
The only thing is that I really don't see anything wrong with husband and wife on the team, but I know Don and Lois a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
They will disagree with each other.
And they're both very dedicated.
They are. Commissioner Gibson?
I noticed 4 of these people are from the city of Hastings. It'd be good to have somebody on the board that is not from the city of Hastings. So if you eliminate one of those from the city of Hastings, you'd have the 4 that you'd need for the 4 openings. And I'm not suggesting which one you eliminate.
Of course not. No, I don't think anybody is. Commissioner, Vice Chair Connick? Do you have anything additional to add?
No, all the points are excellent that have been made already, so I couldn't add anything else.
All right, so is there consensus that Sally Schuster-Schaff should get reappointed?
Yes.
Yes.
Carrie Mattson, what do we think?
Yes.
Yeah.
McCormick. Yes.
Yeah, excuse me, Carrie McCormick. Who's next?
Don, I mean, he served on that board a long time. He's got lots of history.
Yes. I agree with that.
And he too is not afraid to speak his mind.
What about Betsy?
That's what I was thinking, was Betsy.
So Sally,
agree.
Carrie, Betsy, and Don?
I would make that motion.
Support.
Motion by Getty, supported by Jackson, for approval to reappoint or appoint Sally Schuster-Schaff, Carrie,
McCormick.
McCormick.
I don't have the information for Carrie McCormick, Betsy Colgan, and Donald Bowers to the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for 3-year terms that begin on January 1st, 2022 and expire on December 31st, 2024. Is their discussion. Commissioner Getty.
I don't want to vote on this without expressing how grateful I am for even being put in a position to have more applicants than we have positions to serve, because that just shows a lot of dedication to your community. So these aren't easy decisions.
To speak on that issue for a second, this is a broader issue that I brought up at the end of my first term as chairperson. We actually had a process that we were going to go through of recruiting new people, partnering with the leadership Berry County. But we had a change in leadership, and then we had a pandemic. And leadership Berry County actually changed too. So it was clear when we had that discussion back then. We said if there's somebody that wants to come up to this boardroom, share their heart and their desire to see change in their government, this board should do every thing possible to make sure we find a place for them to serve. This is a government for the people, of the people, and by the people. And they are the people that make this government operate, and who we serve and are proud to serve. So in the next coming months, I'm working on some type of amendment or revised plan that we can pick back up. Because if we have even one person that comes up here, or if we have but one person that leaves this courthouse without a place for them to serve, I think that's unfortunate. And that goes for even some of the critics that come up to the microphone for 3 minutes at a time. If you have a desire to serve, and not an agenda, but a true desire to serve, this board is going to give you a fair shot. So, it's a long way of saying, we talked about this before, and we're going to work on it. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. The question before the board is to appoint or reappoint Sally Schuster-Schaff, Carrie.
McCormick.
I don't have last name.
All right.
McCormick.
Cormick.
I'm just going to redo this.
Sorry.
Tough day to be chair sometimes. All right, I'm ready to talk. The question now before the board is approval to reappoint or appoint Sally Schuster-Schaff, Karen McCormick, Betsy Colgan, and Donald Bowers to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for 3-year terms that began on January 1st, 2022 and expire on December 31st, 2024. Clerk, call the roll.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell. Aye. Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. Motion carries. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report.
I'm all set, thank you.
Chairperson's report. I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the historic actions that this board just took. This board spent a considerable amount of time partnering with our community to ensure good stewardship of the grants that had been given to us. We very quickly after received this opportunity said we don't want to see it go to waste. And without even much dissension, in our guts believe the best way to appropriate this money is to seek out opportunities in small places across the county. We did that. This is huge. In speaking with Bonnie, our metrics, independent approach to this is getting national, is creating, generating buzz in places across America. The reason that we haven't heard a lot of other places talking about their issues is because we're ahead of the game. But I say this to say we can't stop now. We cannot rest on our laurels. At this time, at this moment, while we may have voted to fund these projects, there still is no water tower in Berry Township. At this moment right now, the village of Freeport still needs a water system upgrade. There is no communications tower for 800 megahertz radios in Berry County. The trail, Paul Henry Thornapple Trail, is still unpaved. And the other projects additionally. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. We've came this far, but now we got to build it. I told you when I took this position for a second time that I would try to listen more than I spoke. And I have done that. And I want to recognize each of our commissioners here today for the work you did in this process. Commissioner Getty, I want to thank you for your vision for Berry County Parks. You have been a leader in promoting recreational opportunities for years. Without your stewardship, this project would not have happened. We thank you for your service, and we're going to need your help to get this thing done. Commissioner Smelker, I want to thank you for your dedication, for your vigilance. This man has more energy to seek out questions to answers than this guy right here. Throughout the ARPA process, you could count on John Smelker asking questions behind the scenes to make sure every question that our constituents could have came before this board and was answered. Sometimes he calls me late at night. Now he's texting me. But Commissioner, your tenacity and your energy brought this process to where it is now. We will need it going forward. Thank you. Commissioner Gibson, I want to take a moment to thank you for your vocal support of this project. Hoot Gibson is Berry County's longest-serving commissioner. He has seen a lot of issues come to this mezzanine, and he said early on when this Blue Zone project came up, he gave words of confidence in it. Sir, your confidence in this project gives us all confidence. When Hoot Gibson is confident it's going to work, it's going to work. Thank you for being a vocal leader now. Vice Chair Connor, thank you for your courage and your attention to detail. One thing I've learned about Vivian Connor, having known her for nearly 15 years, is Vivian keeps her word. The thing you saw this morning was just a miscommunications issue. It's not disagreement or animosity. Somebody asked for somebody to, they asked her a question and she gave them information that turned out was incorrect. But at this point, I bring this up to prove the point that you can be sure if Vivian Connor says she's going to do something and ask a question, she's going to do it. You've asked the questions for your community in Prairieville. You've asked the tough questions and been the lone dissenting vote lots of times. That means a lot. Your voice matters. It brings a lot to this board, and we're going to need your voice of the people here as we see this process out. Commissioner Jackson, I want to thank you for your confidence as well and your reassurance. Dave Jackson is a business owner, and he's seen a lot of proposals come up before him. Dave's gut, I've learned over the years, is usually right. We've talked a lot about this process, and early on, you gave your confidence too. Yeah, it's going to work. And you gave opinions, and you let this. You advocated for letting this committee do its job. Also, you led the Berry Township Board to partnering in the county. That wouldn't have happened without their trust in you. So, thank you for being a calm voice in the room and giving us optimism and confidence that we're going the right route. And Commissioner Campbell, one of our new ones. Many of you don't know that this man is a baseball coach and has served in places far away on our behalf, and he has an amazing perspective. But one of the things that you have, Commissioner Campbell, is optimism. You are an optimistic man. I think everybody at this board would agree. Your optimism and faith in people was critical to getting this done. you judged the process and its components, and you believed in what they said they were going to do, and you encouraged them along the way. You've been a friend, and anybody serving this county government knows that you're a bright ray of hope. And I say this, so thank you. I say this because we're not done yet. This board needs to continue providing the leadership that it has over the past several weeks. And I'm going to need, we're going to need the same efforts that we've seen over the last few months to get this done. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Vice Chairperson's report.
Thank you. Excuse me. Things that I've attended since our last board meeting, Prairieville Township. They had a conversation about what they see happening at the Board of Commissioners meetings, especially in public comment, and they are in the process of updating their board rules. Mary Ann DeVries was appointed as the new chair of the Parks Board. Is that right? Okay. And Gary Baumgardner was appointed as the new treasurer. Yankee Springs, not during the meeting, but the minute I walked in the room, there was comments about what's happening here at our Board of Commissioners meetings. And I didn't really stay very long at the Yankee Springs Township. I just stayed long enough to give my report.
For years, that's been the motto of the Yankee Springs Board. I didn't stay for the end, you know.
Well, it was because when I got
Didn't
home,
go till 2 a.m.
when I got home from Prairieville, I had no furnace. My furnace was out,
Oh.
so I had to get back to light the fireplace again. So, and due to the fireplace being out, I missed the solid waste oversight meeting and the LEPC meeting. I did attend the planning and zoning last night. We had a master plan kickoff. It was approved to have a steering committee with up to 3 planning commissioners on it, and we also approved for a survey to be done. Some of the other things that we're going to look at is community outreach, how to maybe group the county and have maybe 3, maybe 4 different community outreaches. So the other thing that we did last night was we approved a site plan for a wedding venue on, I hope I'm not going to get this wrong, is it Lennar Road in Barry?
I know the road you're talking about.
Okay, all right, in Barry Township. So it was an old camp down by Augusta Creek. And I went out there Sunday because it was nice and bright and sunshiny. And it was apparently a camp of some kind, and they're going to transform it into a wedding venue. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Vivian, when's the Gun Lake thing?
The Winterfest?
Yes.
Anyone know when
February-
Winterfest is?
Is that the second weekend in February?
No, it's the weekend of the free fishing, which is over President's Day.
February 8th, then, somewhere in there.
I
Right.
think it's.
Are you going to do the plunge?
I'll bring it.
No.
I just didn't know if you were teeing up an announcement.
No.
I gotta look at a
Okay.
calendar.
We'll get you that information. Commissioner reports, we'll start with Commissioner Jackson.
Animal Shelter Advisory Board meeting was canceled this month. A lot of concerns about COVID, and as we discussed before, they've gone from 400 volunteer hours down to 40. And Ken, as we had discussed about when he was in here, the hiring 2 more part-time help. He did hire them, and they didn't make it the first week, so he's back to the drawing board. You know, with that 987, it's tough to find people. So that'll be rescheduled. We'll have another animal shelter meeting either next month or in March. Did attend solid waste oversight for the first meeting. Very informative, good group of people with a good vision for how to work with Barry County and recycling right now. And we have our EDA governance board meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. via Zoom.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. I attended my first Barry Eaton Health Department meeting last Friday. I was able to meet the fellow board members and was given a tour of the Barry County Health Department facilities by Colette Scrimger. She also gave me a 90-minute indoctrination via Zoom last week. I also attended community action.
I'm just going to interject.
Okay.
I don't think indoctrination is in the spirit of your remarks. So would you like to pick a different word?
Give me a good word.
Orientation.
Orientation.
There you go.
My wife has always accused
I'm
me
not
of...
trying to pick the words for you, but I'm like, I don't think he actually means that. so.
Okay, no, I occasionally will get a wrong word in there.
Me too.
Ask my wife. Yes, the orientation. My apologies for the other. And also, I attended the Community Action Agency last night. Employing and keeping workers is an ongoing problem, as it is everywhere else. Currently, there are 60 vacancies, and this is causing many classrooms to be shut down and causing a lot of problems with some children that should be and going to those classes. Also, on the brighter side, I was proud to hear last night that we had a donation of $22,000 from an estate from a person in Berry County. So
That's wonderful.
That was very nice.
Thank you. Commissioner Getty.
I attended my first Berry Eaton District Health Department meeting, along with Commissioner Campbell, participated in the tour and the orientation. I attended the Planning Commission's kickoff meeting last night for their master plan update, and they seem to be off to a good start. And I have a Parks and Rec meeting later this week.
You'll have good news to share. When is the master plan expected to be finished? Commissioner Connor or Commissioner Getty?
The coordinator said that if everything goes good, we should have it done by the end of the year.
It's great.
Jim was thinking it'd be more like 15 to 18 months, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, wonderful. Commissioner Smucker.
Attended my 911 meeting Monday, and we are moving closer to be on the same OPED as the rest of the county. And for the year, we dispatched about 55,000 calls. And that's not all calls, that's just dispatch. And then Commissioner Campbell and Gibson and I have been invited to the VA meeting Thursday
wonderful.
morning at 9 o'clock. So we are planning on attending.
That's great. So what is the VA meeting about? Is it by the
It's their board,
federal?
VA board.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Commissioner Gibson. I see you this time.
Yeah. We had our organization meeting at the Berry County Transit on January the 17th. I was elected chairperson. Craig Stolzenberg was elected vice chair. We talked about staffing updates. By the end of February, we're going to be 3 drivers short. We're advertising in the paper and on the radio for drivers. They're hard to get nowadays. Mm-hmm. We talked about the coronavirus state and local physical recovery funds. We talked about recruitment and retention of employees. We talked about the fleet status. We talked about advertising. February, MSU has volunteered to do a survey. They're going to ride the buses the first 3 Fridays in February and talk to the passengers and give us the feedback on that. The Holly Trolley in 2021, their first year back, they hauled 2,800 passengers. At the City Council last night, they approved the request for the YMCA to use their parks for recreation this summer. They also approved the Berry Robay for March the 26th. They also approved the understanding with the Arts Council for Hastings live events. That's all I have.
Thank you. Did you find the date for
I did.
Winterfest?
So for Winterfest, February 19th at 10 a.m. it starts, and the free fishing weekend that the DNR puts on is February 19th and 20th.
All right, awesome.
Thank you, Vivian.
You're welcome.
Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Adam Heikela, and we have a frog jumping at me.
He really wants attention today. We see you. Poot. Please.
So these ARPA funds still, or as I called them before, blood money, right? Because that's what these funds are. These funds are here because they've gone after our blood. They really have. This disease, whatever it is something that's infecting our blood, and now they're trying to mandate and force us by way of controls through the large corporations to get something that we have to force into our blood. These funds now, this was a raring speech that you gave here to pat everybody on the back, Ben, which is very much a political theater, like I've been saying and describing to you all, right? We got to watch it in a very big way now, right, in this meeting. Because what you've had dozens upon dozens of people that have come regularly that have been upset about these dollars. The only people that you have had come to these meetings to support you in these dollars are people from these communities that sit on the boards, that are elected officials, that have projects that they want to complete, because guess what? It makes them look good and creates a political bubble for them to say, hey, look at what we were able to accomplish, right? But you've had a community, the whole community behind all of it, coming out and speaking differently. But that gets ignored once again. Proof once again that right here in our local community, you are separate from the actual people that you represent, that you're not representatives, that you're politicians. One of the things on the ARPA funds, my understanding was that they were to be distributed and help for local businesses. In what way did you as a board create anything to help local businesses with these ARPA funds? Maybe there's something that I missed in that. I might have. Not that I, as a local business owner, would even have approached that, because I didn't apply or get any funds for anything over the last 2 years. I'm not trying to get these funds in this blood money situation. But what did you do? Because you're all patting yourselves on the back to now cover projects that should have been working on and having plans and funds generated and done for how many decades for many of these communities for some of these projects. But now we get to pat ourselves on the back in a grandiose display. Because why? Because then we all feel good? Because we have debt dollars that our great-grandchildren are going to be paying for. You don't understand that? That is absolutely the situation we're in with these dollars. You say, well, why aren't you talking to the national people? Well, obviously, you all don't even listen. We know the national people aren't going to listen to us right now. We need you all to start listening first. That's where we're at.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Thank you. Morning, Sheriff.
Sorry, I didn't have this paperwork in front of me when you had for the appliances. This is the final full end of the year report from Berry County Central Dispatch for the total of the law enforcement and fire departments. Berry County Sheriff's Office handled 14,877. Berry Township Police Department had 1,087. The DNR 307. Freeport Police Department 29. Hastings Police Department 7,123. Michigan State Police 3,200, Nashville Police Department 803, Prairieville Township Police Department 351, Woodland Police Department 126, Central Dispatch took 3,951 complaints that didn't get dispatched to someone else. The medical examiner investigator 143, fire departments total 2,067, the medical first responders 2,437. Emergency medical services, 9,289. Other was 1,929. Total of 47,856. Now, there's an asterisk besides that if you want to see it, because not all complaints go through Berry Central Dispatch. Some of them come to our office, some goes to other agencies, and like our UD10 car deer crash reports and stuff. But if you take the total amount of law enforcement complaints, or total amount of complaints total, we handled, as a Berry County Sheriff's Office, 31% of the total complaints that were dispatched through Berry Central Dispatch. And for law enforcement, there was 27,903 complaints that were given out by Central Dispatch, which we handle 53% of the total law enforcement complaints.
Thank you, Undersheriff. Is there further public comment?
Oh, Gary White. Didn't even get up here this timer was on. So Gary White, Nashville. Let's go to Veterans Affairs. You had quite a few qualified candidates came here during your Veterans Affairs appointment, and the board did what they normally do. You approved the incumbent, right? There was also some words that you would try to get some of those people on that board. You guys are going to that. Will you try to get some of those people on? They were very qualified candidates, I think. Then let's go to critics. Mr. Geiger, you said that you had an open ear, you wanted to listen more. Then you came back and you said your critics, the county critics. Public comment is for people that don't necessarily have to agree with you. Are they at that point in time critics? So do you really represent your district, which I'm in your district, and do I like the way you spend money and do things? No. Does that make me a critic or a person in your district that you're supposed to represent? So let's go to health board meeting. Health board meeting, it went from 7 staff members being down to now 9.5 staff members being down. Bylaws were approved, and the very next motion, the bylaws were, ignored. And the reason I say that, in the bylaws it says your meetings will be the 4th Thursday of every month at 9:30. The next thing on the agenda was all Wednesday, 3rd of the month. It's your responsibility as new members to not trust the old members and just follow in line to read all your information. So is that critical, or is it important that you do your job? I'm still a proponent of the health board should be split. 9 members, I think I heard they have a total of 55. I said there are going to be more retirements potentially. No questions were asked about that, what it's looking like. So we may be critics, but we have valuable information, and it appears that some people on the board would view you as not people that you're supposed to represent, but as critics. What is your goal as public officials? I'm going to agree with the way you spent money with Adam. Could you have used that to be better moved throughout the county as a whole? He praises you for, we're national. Well, did you do the right thing with the funds?
I'm not being critical, but your time is up. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Nice one.
Let me reiterate that the chair or the board's intention is to even allow critics, as long as you have a heart and a passion to serve. Even if we disagree, the fact of the matter is we're going to give you a fair shake at an appointment. So I'm not opposed to criticism. I've had a long career of it. So is there further public comment?
Vanderbilt, Hastings Township. I think you folks have been put in a real tough position by the federal government, and you're receiving a lot of critical information for what you're doing, and like I say, the federal government has really put you in a no-win situation. I've heard it said that, well, if we don't spend the money, somebody else will. And I believe that's 100% true. So, spend it wisely. I know you're going to. But you want to keep in mind, there was a motivational speaker years ago named Zig Ziglar. And those of us who are old enough to remember him, he's dead now. but I believe he coined the phrase, "There ain't no free lunch." And I think it was pointed out here earlier that, I've been around the sun 77 times. I got my own little spaceship here I'm running. So you're all welcome to come along with me on the next round. But in my lifetime, I've never seen this kind of national debt. And, I've grown up in an era that I'm blessed to have lived in, to be honest with you. And I'm very happy to have lived my life in this era. But I think we're in for a long struggle ahead. So anyway, just wanted to give old Zig a plug in there.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Okay, Bethany Matthews from Carlton Township. So when I start reading words like appropriation and things like that out of the Title VI of the Social Security Act for the local fiscal recovery fund, I'm concerned because I hear Social Security and I think, Social Security is already in trouble. And I don't really understand it all, but it does concern me that it's under a Social Security Act. And so I guess my point is be responsible. You are acting on behalf of our future generations, including our children. Thank you.
If you stick around after the meeting, we'd be happy to look into that. Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, being there is no other business to come before the board, we've reached the end of our agenda. Without objection, the board will now adjourn. Hearing no objection, the board is adjourned.